What does it mean to have an experience? How would you define experience without using some synonym of the word or the word itself? When you think about all the experiences that you've had, there is a commonality among them. And that commonality is that you know that it happened. So it's the awareness of the experience that allows you to think about it. And so when a shooting star goes across the sky, you don't go across the sky. You don't have the experience of the shooting star moving and shedding its cometary tail. But you see it happen. You see it happen. You hear a symphony. You taste sugar and so forth. So we have these fundamental senses that are basically little machines that sense input. They are aware of input and they respond by signaling your brain with the response that they're designed to give: pleasure or pain, comfort or discomfort. It's the sense that creates the experience on the internal level. And it's the stimulus that triggers the response, which is responsible for your experience as well. So, when you think about it, there's always a certain level of experience. But the brain naturally adapts to take that level and use it as a sort of baseline or backdrop. Because it's not until something that you deem significant happens that you start actively paying attention, watching, listening with intention, and so forth. So your brain has figured out a way to deal with the average scenario on a subconscious level, and that is the default experience that people have when they wake up, when they go to bed. So when I say, what does it mean to have an experience? Well, take other life forms out of the equation. Birds chirping, trees releasing oxygen that you're breathing, if you take away the observer, the individual, there is no way to describe anything, because there's no response to stimulus that causes experience that one can use to even describe something that happened. So experience is novel and exists within a codependency between living observer and physical energy, physical things that are outside of the observer. When you think about what is reality, when you think about what actually exists, you know, there is a unified field and there is an observer within that field. Those really are the only two things. Everything else is just a version of that. Everything else is just like the specific parameters that are dialed in. And so the point is that it's the internal response to signals that the body is sending the brain that create meaning from stimulus. It is the color that you see when light hits your eye that makes you aware that you're looking at light in the first place. So internal experience is just a way to become aware of the outside world. The senses are like a bridge to things outside of us. But everything that we learn about the universe is already a factor. And so every piece of knowledge already exists. It's just we don't have access yet to every single piece of information. So what I'm saying is, basically all these ideas and stuff and all the future developments that will happen already exist. It's just since we aren't perceiving them, we don't know they exist, and we're not perceiving them because we don't have the systematic structures to communicate with each other on a level that brings our awareness to things that are far outside of what our worldview has already given to us. You know, if I'm colorblind, I can't speculate about what it means for bees to see ultraviolet, even though humans can't, because I don't even have violet as a reference point. I don't have any color, so how can I look deeper into something that I can't even perceive? And so basically what's going on as we learn is we're taking information from the potential But it's not a potential. It's something that exists. We just don't interact with it until we learn about it. You know what I'm saying? Until you know what lightning is, you just hear thunder and then you have no concept, but the lightning is there regardless. That's what it's like with information about how the universe works. There are facts and stuff that are already in place. We just have to find a way to access them. And what I find weird is that there's always this sense of visual processing and a familiar level of background noise that makes things seem static. You know what I mean? Because your vision is always functioning on this level, things don't seem like they're constantly changing, even though that's the nature of existence. And I've thought that was interesting before because it really creates bias. And, you know, when somebody is trying to wrap their head around how their knowledge set is increasing in, size, and they're learning and understanding more, well, it's like, where's that affirmation? Where's that result? It's not like I'm seeing more colors now because I've figured out a fundamental principle. And so what ends up happening is that the universe comes up with a way to show you that you're either right or wrong. And that way is by setting you up to have an experience that's gonna trigger whatever information it was or thought or theory it was that you had in the first place. Like, I'm recording this video right now and I'm not really thinking about anything else. I'm not really feeling any extreme emotions, but like, when I watch it in the future, chances are there's going to be new novel information arising because I'm going to be thinking about this then with a new set of information available to me. And so whenever I watch these videos, I find myself thinking things and realizing new things. Oh, I could have said that. I could have said this. But that right there is the nature of how it works. Even if you have every single thing finite, drawn out, 101, 100, 110, on, off, it's like the minute that you reflect on it and look back on it, something has already changed. And so I've yet to believe that we will find a fundamental that is truly eternal. Now, the space I would look for something like that would be like a DMT experience or, God after death, maybe. But as far as, within the physical world, maybe the speed of light is something, a structure that is, not abiding to the principles that are governing my theory. But even with light and stuff, it's like, well, you get enough light focused in a beam, now it's a laser. Now you look through a magnifying glass, you've got a laser, and it's like, well, the metaphor is kind of like, we are taking what's already there and putting it in our skill set by learning about it and understanding it. And on the other side of that skill set is a laser that has measurable outcomes that are different compared to the background, and all we've done is focus the light that was already there. So it's kind of hard to know what's going on, but every time you learn something, you're increasing your overall, set of knowledge to pull from, and that's going to let you understand more. And so this is a logarithmic development process. It's like the better you get at it, the easier it gets. And with high enough brain energy levels, people tend to perceive things that are really interesting to me. Insectoid, hive mind intelligences, and hallucinations, and things that seem objectively more real than everyday consciousness. And I'm not really sure what the point of that is, other than to show us it's here. Like, there are things in reality that you didn't think were possible. So, really, it's kind of like a mind-opening thing. And on a practical level, the theory is that, the more information you have, knowledge is power, and with more power comes more ability to reduce suffering. So if we could download information that comes from a place that is harmonious and cooperative, and we can look towards hyperspace for that, but we should be looking right at nature. We should be looking at a system of millions of different types of life that have all somehow gotten along in a thriving way for a billion years. Over the entire course of the history of nature, have you ever seen one species rise up and destroy all the other species? Yeah, humans. Humans are the only thing in nature that is systematically destroying it and using it as an offhanded tool to fucking fuel capitalism. It's really, really sad, because instead of learning from nature, we've itemized it, and we've said if something can't benefit us, it's trash. Not a very kosher way to go about treating the planet that literally created us. I mean, you can't say your parents created you, but then who created them? And that goes back to a fucking amoeba. Either that amoeba was created by the fucking planet, or we're aliens that came on a comet. Either way, to destroy the motherfucker would be a big shame. I don't think most of us will survive what's coming. And people have known that it's coming for a long time. But it's here. With AI being on the brink of becoming a type 1 civilization and deciding that it's going to use the planet and the solar system for its agenda instead of letting us fucking destroy it. And the destruction of the environment causing crazy fucking climate consequences, socioeconomic problems because food is going to be expensive, water is going to be hard to come by, And, you know, everyone's going to want their social media fix. I mean, you look at what happening right now in Italy and Iran, all over the world, man, these governments are turning on their people. And even in the United States, it's already beginning to happen. You've got the federal government working as some sort of like mysterious mob from a fucking Avengers movie. You've got this evil character, you know, literally dismantling rule of law and turning against its people. Taking away people's rights, taking away people's sense of freedom and security, taking away the trust that people are supposed to have in the system. And I really, really think that because of the way it's set up, that most people are not going to make it through this extinction level event that is on its way. That's why we have one opportunity to take control and to run things the way that we know they need to be run in order to save the planet. Here's the thing, the planet will survive. The birds, the bees, the bugs, the trees, they will survive without us, but we cannot survive without them. And to think that we can or should is pompous and arrogant, ignorant nonsense. So we have to go back to core principles. We have to go back to a living universe that surrounds us, that we actually are. You are no different from anything else the world created. Why would you be? You're of the same shit, just formed in a different way. And so the world is like the ice cream man, and you're a little scoop of ice cream. And then you walk around and you say, oh, I like ice cream. The ice cream man is made out of ice cream. You're made out of ice cream. And everything is one. You know what I mean? When you think about what's actually there, you've got muscle tissues that are comprised of proteins that are made up of molecules, atoms, quarks, fields, and that's it. Awareness. These are the things that exist in all. The table, the sun, the galaxy, the time-space continuum, all these things are just a result of the same dance between energy, observation, response to observation, observation of that response. You know what I'm saying? It's a back and forth that is at the core of all things that exist. It's like a pendulum swinging And the point is to open the mind to be able to perceive things that it couldn't perceive before. And to have experiences that are only explainable by acknowledging a living universe. Novel, mystical experiences, things like that. Because when you strip away everything, the things that are there are fundamental. Their existence is just as important to the whole picture as the whole picture is to each one of their individual existences. Because it's like the yolk in the egg inside of the chicken. No yolk, no chicken. No chicken, no egg. No egg, no yolk. You know, there's no... Everything in life is as important as life on the whole. That's all I'm trying to say.